Ladies and gentlemen, silence is a powerful communicator, often more revealing than words ever could be. In relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, our tendency is to fill every gap with words, to explain, to clarify, to justify. But sometimes, the most profound understanding comes not from saying more, but from saying nothing at all. Silence has a way of exposing intentions, motives, and emotional investments in ways that conversation cannot. When you choose to step back and stop reaching out, you create a void, and what someone does in response to that void can tell you everything you need to know. When you're constantly available, constantly present, people begin to expect it. Your presence becomes routine, your energy taken for granted. But when you take a step back, when you remove yourself even temporarily, you force others to confront a simple question: do they notice and do they care? That answer doesn't come in words, it comes in actions. If someone values you, your silence won't go unnoticed. They'll feel your absence like a missing piece. They'll wonder, they'll reach out, and they'll move toward you. If they don't, then your silence has revealed something you may have been unwilling to see. Silence also allows for self-reflection. It shifts the focus inward, helping you tune out external noise and tune into your inner voice. In that quiet space, you begin to understand your own needs more clearly. You stop chasing approval and start recognizing where your energy is best invested. Silence gives you control, not over others, but over yourself. It breaks patterns of overcommunication, of always being the one to fix things or make the effort. In that stillness, you reclaim your power. You stop begging for clarity and start demanding it through the simple act of letting go. People often mistake silence for weakness, but it's the opposite. It takes strength to stay silent when you want to speak. It takes courage to step back when your instincts are screaming to lean in. But silence isn't passive, it's intentional. It speaks volumes. It says, I am watching, I am listening, I am waiting to see if you meet me where I am. In silence, you hold space, not just for someone else to step up, but for yourself to step back and observe. And what you observe in that space is often the raw, unfiltered truth. There's a reason why some of the most powerful moments in life are silent. The pause after a breakup, the stillness after an argument, the quiet between text messages. These are the moments that reveal real feelings. When someone is no longer able to rely on your voice, your reassurance, your constant presence, they have to rely on themselves to decide what you mean to them. And in those silent moments, their choices speak louder than anything they could ever say. Silence doesn't demand a response, it invites one. And in that invitation, you find out who truly wants to be there, and who only stayed because you were always the one holding the connection together. Self-respect requires boundaries because without them, you allow others to define your worth for you. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They are the lines that protect your peace, your energy, and your identity. When you don't set boundaries, you end up constantly overextending yourself, saying yes when you want to say no, and giving more than you receive. This imbalance doesn't just exhaust you, it slowly erodes your sense of self-worth. You begin to feel used, overlooked, and emotionally depleted. And the truth is, people will only treat you as well as you require them to. Without boundaries, you silently give others permission to take more than they should. Self-respect is not just a feeling, it's a choice backed by action. It's the decision to put yourself first, not out of selfishness, but out of self-preservation. When you create boundaries, you are teaching people how to treat you. You're saying, this is what I will accept, and this is what I won't. You make it clear where your values lie, what behavior crosses the line, and what you expect from any relationship. This clarity is essential, because people aren't mind readers. If you don't define your limits, others won't know they exist, or worse, they'll ignore them altogether. Boundaries also serve as a mirror. When you set them, you get to see who respects you and who resents you for having standards. Some people will push back, not because your boundary is wrong, but because they benefited from you having none. That resistance is often the clearest signal that a boundary is overdue. And when someone truly cares about you, they won't just tolerate your boundaries, they'll appreciate them, because they know they're rooted in your need for respect. not in rejection. Learning to say no without guilt is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. It's not your job to make everyone else comfortable at your own expense. You are allowed to protect your time, your mental health, and your emotional capacity. You don't owe unlimited access to anyone, no matter how close they are. It is not cruel to set limits, it is essential, and those who truly value you will not only understand your boundaries, they will rise to meet them. Sometimes, the hardest boundaries to set are the ones with ourselves, the ability to walk away from situations that hurt us, the discipline to stop chasing people who treat us like an option, and the strength to demand more than the bare minimum. These boundaries come from deep inner respect. They are born from the belief that you are worthy of more, that your time matters, and that your heart deserves care. Every time you honor your boundaries, you reinforce that belief. You affirm your dignity. You say to yourself and the world, I matter enough to protect myself. And in that act, you build a foundation of self-respect that no one else can shake. Disappearance is a test of presence because when you remove yourself, you create the opportunity to see who truly values your existence without the influence of your constant effort. In relationships, it's easy to fall into the habit of always being available, always initiating, always showing up. You give and give, often without noticing that the connection has become one-sided. But when you step back, even briefly, the balance becomes visible. The space you leave behind becomes a silent stage, and the actions, or inactions, of others take center spotlight. Who comes looking for you? Who notices your absence? Who reaches out without being prompted? These are the real questions that disappearance answers. When you are always present, your presence can be taken for granted. People begin to rely on your consistency without reciprocating. They assume you'll always be there, so they stop putting in the effort. But when you disappear, even just for a short time, you break the pattern. You shift the dynamic and allow reality to surface. If someone values you only when you're in front of them, their care may be more about convenience than connection. But if your absence sparks concern, curiosity, or effort, then it's clear your presence held real meaning. Disappearing doesn't mean you're being manipulative or playing games. It means you're giving others a chance to reveal themselves. It means you're no longer forcing closeness or pushing to maintain a bond that may not be mutual. Instead, you become an observer. You allow the relationship to show you what it's really made of without your constant maintenance. People show who they are when they no longer have access to you, and that truth is invaluable. It strips away all the excuses and reveals who's truly invested and who's simply coasting on your effort. There's also a deeper internal benefit to disappearance. It allows you to see your own patterns with more clarity. Often, we stay in roles where we're the fixer, the planner, the one holding things together. When you step away, you release that burden. You stop being responsible for everyone else's comfort and begin to examine your own needs. You start asking yourself whether you've been giving more than you're receiving, and whether you've stayed connected out of habit rather than genuine care. This self-inquiry is just as important as the external reactions you observe. It helps you return to the situation not only with more information about others, but with a clearer understanding of yourself. Most importantly, disappearance measures emotional depth. Someone who truly values you won't go silent when you do. They won't just move on, unbothered and unchanged. They will feel your absence in the way they feel the missing heartbeat of something important. They will check in, reach out, or at the very least, show some kind of reaction that affirms your place in their life. And if they don't, then their silence speaks volumes. Disappearance is not just a test, it's a revelation. It separates the temporary from the timeless, the invested from the indifferent, and it shows you exactly who's meant to walk with you and who was only standing still. This is not a game, it's a mirror. When you choose to step back from someone, when you disappear to observe rather than chase, you're not playing with emotions or trying to manipulate an outcome. You're allowing reality to unfold in its most honest form. A game is something played to win, often with strategy and control at its core. But this is not about winning or losing, it's about reflection. It's about holding up a mirror to the relationship, the dynamic, and the person on the other side to see what truly exists when you stop trying to force connection. So often, we're taught to believe that distance is a tactic, that pulling away is some sort of mind game to get someone to act right. But in truth, the most genuine reason for stepping away is to understand what's real and what's only held together by your effort. When you stop texting first, stop making plans, stop checking in. When you remove your energy from the equation, it reveals what remains. That reflection can be confronting. It might show that the bond was one-sided, or that your presence was appreciated only when it was convenient. But it can also show you something beautiful, that someone truly cares, that they step forward when you take a step back, and that the connection was never dependent on your constant giving. This mirror doesn't lie. It reflects effort, intention, and emotional investment. It shows you whether someone sees you or simply enjoys the benefits of your presence. The truth is, not everyone you give your time to would give theirs back if the roles were reversed. That's why it's so important to observe. When you're always available, always trying, you cloud your own vision. You create a version of the relationship that may not match the other person's reality. But when you pause, when you step out of the frame, you finally get to see the picture clearly. It takes courage to stop participating in what feels familiar. It's not easy to withdraw your energy and wait, not knowing what someone will do in your absence. But the strength of this approach lies in its honesty. It doesn't demand, it doesn't chase, it invites truth to rise to the surface. If the other person mirrors your silence with silence, you gain clarity. If they reach back for you, you gain confirmation. Either way, you win, not by controlling the outcome, but by learning where you truly stand. Stepping back is not a trick to get someone to miss you. It's a form of emotional self-respect. It's saying, I've shown up fully. Now I want to see if you will too. And in that space, the mirror reflects everything that words and constant presence often hide. Whether the reflection is comforting or disappointing, it is always honest. And that honesty is far more valuable than any game you could ever play. You grow when you focus on you because that's when your energy shifts from chasing others to nurturing yourself. So much of our time is spent outwardly worrying about how others feel, what they think, whether they're staying, responding, or reciprocating. We pour our attention into being seen, accepted, and loved, often neglecting the most vital relationship we have, the one with ourselves. But the moment you turn your focus inward, you begin to realize that true growth doesn't happen in someone else's presence. It happens in solitude, in quiet, in self-reflection, and in choosing your own well-being above external approval. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. It means you've come to a place where you recognize that your value isn't determined by someone's attention or validation. It's found in your ability to sit with yourself, to heal what hurts, to develop your purpose, and to chase the version of you that you've been putting on hold. When you make yourself the priority, your choices change. You stop begging for bare minimum love. You stop explaining your worth. You stop shrinking to be accepted. Instead, you begin expanding mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because your energy is no longer being drained trying to fit into someone else's expectations. Growth comes from discomfort, and nothing is more uncomfortable than realizing you've been losing parts of yourself trying to hold on to someone else. But once you stop doing that, once you stop waiting for a message, for an invitation, for someone to notice your worth, and instead put that same effort into your goals, your health, your peace, everything begins to shift. Your mind gets clearer, your confidence builds, you begin to attract people and opportunities that match the energy you're now creating. People who are drawn to your emptiness will fall away, and those who respect your wholeness will step in. But none of that can happen until you stop focusing on them and start focusing on you. Focusing on yourself allows you to rebuild what others may have chipped away. It gives you time to assess your boundaries, your needs, and your dreams without the noise of outside influence. It gives you space to make decisions based on what you truly want, not what will make someone else stay. You begin to rediscover your strength, your independence, and your voice. You start showing up differently not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally come home to yourself. And what's more powerful than that? You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You realize that growth isn't just about becoming better for someone else, it's about becoming whole for yourself. It's in those moments when you choose peace over chaos, self-respect over desperation, and presence over pleasing that real transformation takes root. You don't just survive, you thrive. And that kind of growth can never be taken away, because it came from within. Absence reveals truth in a way that presence never can. When you're constantly around, always available, always reaching out or showing up, it can be hard to see what people genuinely feel or how they truly value you. Your presence can mask their lack of effort, your consistency can cover their inconsistency, and your energy can disguise their indifference. But the moment you pull back, the truth starts to rise to the surface. It's in your absence that you see who notices, who cares, who reaches out, and who lets you drift away without a second thought. The reactions you receive, or don't receive, when you step back speak louder than any words ever could. Being absent isn't about punishing someone or making them chase you. It's about allowing space to do what words sometimes can't. In that space, you begin to understand the difference between someone who needs you and someone who wants you. Someone who is simply enjoying the benefits of your presence versus someone who genuinely values your place in their life. When you remove yourself, you no longer hold the connection together through sheer effort. You give the other person the chance to choose, and choice reveals truth. Every single time. There's a certain clarity that comes when you stop showing up just to see if someone else will. If they care, they won't let your silence stretch on forever. If they value you, they will feel your absence like a missing part of their routine. But if they don't, then your absence merely exposes the illusion that they ever truly held you in their heart. That's the power of stepping away, not to hurt them, but to heal yourself with honesty. Absence is also a tool for self-discovery. In the quiet that follows your departure, you get to see your own patterns with new eyes. Maybe you've been overextending yourself. Maybe you've been settling for half-hearted effort. Maybe you've been afraid to pull away because deep down you feared what the truth might be. But the truth is a gift even when it hurts. It frees you from assumptions, false hope, and emotional limbo. It shows you where to invest your time and where to stop trying. Time and space are truth tellers. They cannot be faked, manipulated, or spun with excuses. When someone is truly connected to you, distance won't erase that bond, it will only strengthen it. But if someone disappears the moment you do, then your absence has simply uncovered a truth that was there all along. It didn't create the distance, it only revealed it. The most painful truths often hide behind routine interactions. It's easy for people to pretend everything's fine when you're always around. But when you're gone, they can no longer lean on your presence to fill the silence or bridge the gap. In that void, the real dynamics come to light. And though the truth that emerges may be unexpected or even disappointing, it is always necessary. Because once you know where you stand, you can decide how to move forward, with eyes wide open.